Well, this is Betting Weekly Premier League show. You're with myself, Dan Roebuck, alongside me, Nigel Seeley and Jack Wright. 3 match days to go in the EPL. Key games at the top and the bottom of the table this weekend. We're going to talk title odds a little later, but both of our cappers are highlighting plays featuring clubs fighting to avoid the drop. So just a brief look at the relegation situation as it is, Nigel, as I bid you a very good day. Burnley minus 670 to go down, Luton minus 500. Those teams, according to the odds compilers, are most likely, with Sheffield United, of course, confirmed as going down last weekend, and Forest plus 175, but only 2 points separating the three. How do we see it going into the final 3 games of the season?
Well, I think Burnley, the side that are really putting throwing something in a little bit of a storyline to it. I mean, they look like dead and buried, didn't they? And they've gone this good unbeaten run recently. And then if they can get something at the weekend and then Forest struggle, which we're going to come on to those matches in a minute, then it sets up that game, final day of the season, isn't it? Forest against Burnley, which will be just at Burnley, which will be sensational. I mean, I think Burnley are the ones that have really surprised us all. And they're showing some spirit, they're showing some fight, and at home they're hard to beat at the moment. They're still conceding goals, which is a concern. But other than that, I think they're the side that have really shaken it up here. It looked like just between a shootout between Luton and Nottingham Forest, but now Burnley really are coming along the rails there. I don't think the gap is as wide as what those odds suggest. $5, $6.70 and minus 175. I think it's a plus 175. I think that plus 175. It should be a little bit lower than that. Probably there may be something going on behind the scenes that we're unaware of. But on the pitch, I don't think there's much of a gulf between Burnley, Luton, and Nottingham Forest, what those odds suggest currently as we stand now.
Yeah, there is talk of appeals and plenty of things going on behind the scenes, as Nigel alluding to, when it comes to Forest, and they're trying to get some of the points back that they have lost. Sheffield United this weekend, then Chelsea home, Burnley away, as Nigel points out. That could be unbelievable on the last day. Jack, depends how you spin the stats here. Forest 1 win in 10, Burnley 1 defeat in their last 8. Luton have lost 5 of the last 6. Which one do we pick out an anchor to here? What's your thoughts on the relegation situation?
Oh, well, I think at this stage of the season, it's tough to get out of a losing spiral, isn't it? And that's what Forest are in at the moment. And we also know over the last 2 seasons, they've been horrific away from home. 2 away games to come up in their final 3, not ideal for them, especially who they're against as well. As I said, that last one could be absolutely monumental. And Chelsea could still be looking for European places when they visit the City ground. So that'd be interesting. Now, am I being a little mischievous to think, would Everton, who play Luton, and Everton now safe, of course, on Friday, so ahead of this weekend's action, would they prefer Luton to stay in the Premier League than any of the other sides down there?
It's a good one. I mean, I was talking to someone earlier today who thinks that
Luton
might get somewhere from Everton.
You got to remember as well, Sean Dyche obviously managed Burnley.
Yeah.
So that's
and
he's a legend there. So
I mean, there's a massive mural outside the Turf Moor of him on one of the houses. I mean, he's still a legend.
I thought it was you when I went past it. Down there. I didn't think it was. I didn't know it was Sean Dyche.
It's not me, Nigel. Don't worry about it. That's my Sean Dyche impression.
Very good. Is the pub still there? They had the pub with his like.
Yes, it is. It is still there. It's just on the run to the ground. Yeah, I can't remember what it's called now. Is it?
No, I don't get many pubs either.
The Dyche Arms. The Dyche Arms.
It's something like that, is it? I mean, who do we think then? I mean, are the odds? If you were said, minus the betting, you'd still probably say Luton and Burnley to join Sheffield United, would you, Nigel?
You wouldn't if you looked at the last 6 match form and you looked at the current form they're playing at. I think it all. Everybody looks at this match of the weekend against Sheffield United for Nottingham Forest and thinks that that's a certain 3 points, and that is where these prices come from. If Forest don't win that match or they get beat in that match, then Forest go from plus 175 to minus $3 very, very quickly. And especially if Burnley can pick up points against Newcastle and Luton turn over Everton, it's going to go down to the wire. And if Forest fans think that Sheffield United is just going to turn up, they're just going to win this match, I think they're very much mistaken, which we'll come on to again in a bit later on. But I think it's going to be set up for that final day. And with Forest away record going to Burnley, I wouldn't fancy their chances on that one.
Yeah, well, we can get into that game straight away. Why not? Sheffield United versus Nottingham Forest, 10 a.m. Saturday Eastern. And the boys have both got picks in it. Sheffield United are 4-1, plus 400. Nottingham Forest minus 155, draw plus 330. Over under 2.5 goal series minus 177 and plus 140, respectively. Nigel, Sheffield United are down. They will play in the Championship next season. but they have been throwing one or two haymakers recently, maybe not as bad as the results suggest, but they are down, Nigel. So, what are your thoughts here going into this? Is it just a free hit now for the Blades? Can they play with freedom? Is that pressure off them, or has it been off them anyway?
I think that's the key to betting on this match. What motivation is there for Sheffield United? And I think the market makers have come to the conclusion there's no motivation. I disagree slightly. Sheffield United don't want to go down as the worst or one of the worst. Well, they are going to be one of the worst sides that ever played in the Premier League, but they want to try and get those points up. They don't want to go come out of it with some kind of spirit. Whatever Sheffield United team go down, they'll be amongst the favourites to return back next season with the Championship. The Championship will be quite weak next year with some of the teams that have gone up. The strong powerhouses, depending obviously if Leeds get out for the playoffs, but this going to be a lot weaker than it was in this next season compared to this season. So they'll be amongst the favourites to come back. So he's going to give players a chance to come out, young kids or players on the fringes of the squad. I'm sure they'll be involved. But they'll be playing for next season, looking for next season, and whether the manager's there, but they're looking to build. The fans would expect the performance. And I don't think Nottingham Forest have done themselves any favours with any football fans around the world with their behaviour in the last few weeks. I think there's something some say, well, who do they think they are? There's decisions that go against everyone all this season. And I think clubs aren't really happy with the tweet that come out of Nottingham Forest. And I don't think that's sat well with supporters. So, and then you look at it and you think to yourself, okay, let's have a look at current form. Well, obviously, Sheffield United's big problem all season has been conceding goals. They've suddenly found a way to score goals, which Jackson will come on to in a minute. But they've conceded at least 2 in their last 10, 37 goals in their last 10. That's their problem. That is their big problem. But if you look at current form here, Forest have had 1 win in their last 11 matches, Nottingham Forest. If you look at their win prior to that, they've only had 2 wins in their last 21 matches. Well, that is exactly the same as Sheffield United, exactly the same. Forest to win this match on the money line are -155. Now, that will be the shortest price ever that Nottingham Forest have ever been on a road match in the Premier League. As Jack said there, in the road record this season, 2 wins in 17 on the road. And the season before, 1 win in 19. So just 3 wins on the road in 36 Premier League matches. And you want to bet them, or people are going to bet them at -155. Now, I'm not saying that I agree that Sheffield United are the worst team to play in the Premier League for a long time to play in the Premier League. But they're not going to lie down in this one. I'm telling you, the manager would expect the performance. If anyone thinks that Forest is going to rock up and win this, I don't think that's going to happen. -155. If you bet that and they lose, you're going to have to serious questions. You're going to have to explain to the missus where the money's gone, because you can't be betting Nottingham Forest at -155 on the money line. If you look at their 3 wins over this season, they've had 1 win against Chelsea, 1-0. And the last season before that, they had 1 win against Southampton, 1-0. The only team, this is the quiz question for you, Dan, only team to beat them by more than 1 goal, or they beat more by, sorry, the only team that Forest have beaten by more than 1 goal on the road was?
Luton.
No, it was Newcastle this season, 3-1. But that is the only time they've ever covered -1 handicap on the road in the Premier League in 36 matches. And I'm taking Sheffield United +1 here on the Asian handicap. Forest, I don't think Forest will really care whether they win 2, 3, 4, 5. They need to win this match. 1-0 or 2-1 or 3-2 will be enough. Whether they get the win or whether you think their value at -155 to get the win is the different matter. But I'm going to go for Sheffield United +1 on the Asian handicap, -130. I'm not doing it for any reason other than I think the money line price of Nottingham Forest is wrong at -155. Forest could quite easily win this 4-2. But let me tell you something, if you're betting Nottingham Forest on the road at -155 week in and week out, you will be in trouble. That's for sure. So I'm going to go for Sheffield United +1, Asian handicap, -130.
We are sticking with a Blades theme here for Jack's selection as well, but we do dip into the props. But it's aligned with what Nigel is saying to a certain extent.
Certainly is. Yeah, I had my eye on this as soon as it went live. BetRivers have the best price by a country mile here. And it opened up at +110. I am conscious that the props lines, this is for a shot on target for a Sheffield United player. They can be volatile and the price crash, but I've kept an eye on it. It's currently at -109. Look, just as we came on to record, I would take this as high as -120, -125. I had that priced around that kind of mark myself. So it's Ben Brereton Diaz is the player, striker for Sheffield United, and has been in really, really good form. As Nigel has said, And you also said at the top of the show they're throwing some haymakers, and he's part of that. They've pitched him up front with Ollie McBurney. It's a rough and tumble kind of style. The thing we've got on our side here by taking pro Sheffield United angles is that Chris Wilder is a Sheffield United fan, and is their manager. So it will mean a lot to him. The passion will be there, and he'll get that out of the players. And he'll only be picking players that will put in a shift for him. And that's why he's gone, I think, with this kind of honest front line of McBurney and Brereton Diaz. Not much more to add in that I think they'll have a right go at Forest. And as Nigel said, if Forest do take a lead here, they're going to be sitting back and going, we'll take it, blow the whistle, ref. And Sheffield United will keep going at them. We've seen it over the last few weeks that Sheffield United are having a go and can cause a few problems in forward areas with what they've got. And Brereton Diaz, as I said, has been part of that. He was prolific in the Championship for a couple of seasons, let his contract run down, went over to Villarreal, didn't quite work out for him over in Spain, but has been back in the Premier League on loan from them. So he's got things to play for as well for himself on a personal front. Since he returned from a hamstring injury, he's played 8 games for Sheffield United. He's had 20 shots across those. And the impressive thing is that 13 of those have been on target. So he's very accurate when it comes to shooting, and he needs to be, because obviously Sheffield United don't create a bucket load of chances. He's had at least 1 shot on target in 7 of those 8 games. So again, a really prolific record on that. And prior to the hamstring injury, so combining all the games he's played for Sheffield United, it's 13 in total, 28 shots across those games, 18 on target, with at least 1 in 11 of those 13. So really high percentages there of him hitting it. He's bagged 5 goals for him. He's got 3 in his last 7, so his confidence will be high. And as I said, I expect them absolutely to throw the kitchen sink at Nottingham Forest and give it a right go and be part of that.
Ben, Brereton Diaz over 0.5 shots on target. So just to have 1 or more gets you the money. So that is Sheffield United versus Nottingham Forest, which is 10 a.m. Eastern Saturday, as is Burnley against Newcastle. So fans of Burnley and Forest will be very much across each other's games here, kicking off at the same time, as we will be, because Nigel's got a pick for us here. Burnley are plus 245, which is slightly shorter. There's been a little bit of money for Burnley over the course of the last 24 hours. Newcastle are even money now. Draw is trading at 3-1 plus 300. And as we've alluded to already, Nigel, I mean, Burnley maybe should have accrued more points than they have done in their current good run. There's been a lot of draws. There's been 1 or 2 goalkeeping errors as well. And you just tend to think here that it's taken, 7-8 months for Vincent Kompany maybe to get a handle on the Premier League. If this squad was to stay in the Premier League, they could well be mid-table. Is that fair, or are we over-egging this Burnley run?
I think you're over-egging it a little bit. I think he made some bold managerial decisions to change key players during the season, and he made some more tactical decisions the way their style of play to make them much more aggressive, much more on the front foot. Last season, they changed the way they played. Burnley was traditional in your face, very physical. He was more playing on the deck, playing some good football. Yesterday, got him out of the Championship. In the Premier League, he's got to make turf more tough place to go again. And it didn't work at the beginning. It started to work now. They're unbeaten in the last 3 at Turf Moor. When you consider they've got the worst home record in the Premier League, joint record with Sheffield United, that is some turnaround, really. So I think he's got to go with what his resources are, and his resources are to make it as ugly and as difficult as he possibly can. And that seems to be working at the moment. 1 defeat in 8. And I think they could extend their unbeaten record here. I mean, I've been with Burnley a few times over the last few weeks.
Been a bit unlucky, really, in fairness, haven't you, with 1 or 2
I have. I had
them?
them against Chelsea on the start, and obviously they were in the lead and conceded late on. I bet them, obviously, against Manchester United last week, and that cashed for me eventually, but we had a bit of a scare there. But I think they're a side that, on the points now, you'd be looking at and thinking they should have done a lot more. Another team like Sheffield United, if they do go down to the to the Championship, if they keep company, I think they'll be the favourites to come straight back. It's been this season where teams have gone down and more or less coming straight back as well. But he made some bold statements and bold decisions. And I like Burnley plus a half here at minus 110. So I want to get with them on the draw on the side. As I say, they've 1 defeat in 8, scored in 7 of those 8. The only concerning thing is they've conceded in all those 8. You said goalkeeping errors, which is the problem. They've got to eradicate those. When I looked at this match, there was a few thick bets that come out at me. Both teams to score yes was a bet that I thought that's got to be a bet. I looked at it minus 205. Well, I wouldn't bet minus 205. And the other one, I thought Isaac, the striker for Newcastle, to score at any time, because I think that he could be an outside bet to be the top goal scorer in the Premier League, the way that Newcastle, especially at home, and we'll come on to the home factor in a minute. But that was minus 110. And I thought, well, I'm not going to take that either. We were getting plus money about Salah at his peak, and minus 110 Isaac. I'm not going to take that away at Burnley. We're fighting for their lives. So I found the best bet here was Burnley plus a half. Newcastle Road form is dreadful. It's the worst in the top half of the Premier League. Newcastle picked up exactly the same amount of points on the road as Burnley this season, which is, and you consider that Burnley are fighting the relegation. So you're talking about a chalk and cheese team with their home form and away form. Newcastle are that team. Only one win on the road in their last 6, which is awful. They were clearly outplayed by Crystal Palace last time out. We talk about need and desire for teams. Well, the need and desire is for Burnley here. Obviously, Newcastle are going to got a need as well to get into the European football. But I think their home form will get them over the line in that aspect. On the road, they've been dodgy at very best throughout the season, and now travelling to an informed Burnley, who are showing real good signs of improvement, who are very, very unlucky and will be absolutely pumped for this match. I'm going to take Burnley to get something and really shake up the relegation battle at the bottom of the table. Burnley plus a half, v Newcastle, minus 110 with BetRivers.
Brighton Aston Villa is a 9 a.m. Sunday game here, and we've got Brighton as plus 195, Villa plus 125 at the moment. Just slight changes there. The draw plus 285. Villa, obviously, Jack, big favourites to grab 4th spot. I mean, they're not over the line just yet. Spurs have got games in hand, but they are tough. And this in between the Olympiacos tie as well. But you're still going with Villa. I mean, Brighton have fallen apart a bit, haven't they? What's your thoughts on this one? What's the play?
Exactly right. Yeah, simply Villa on the money line here at plus money. You say plus 125.
Plus 125. I know. Yeah, they've come in just a slight little bit. They were plus 133.
Yeah. So anything plus money again for me here, I think, is a big price for Aston Villa. I think they continue to be disrespected in the market, and against the Brighton side that I think are being priced up on their former glories from earlier in the season and from what they performed last season under De Zerbi. We talked about De Zerbi having his choice of Bayern Munich, Liverpool, Real Madrid.
It might be Cambridge and Peterborough now, but anyway, go on.
It could be, couldn't it? It's completely fallen apart. And he's got Brighton down in 12th in the table. They could really slip another few places before the season's out. They could end up 14th around that kind of mark. And, is that any kind of performance for Brighton? We expected them to struggle because of the European commitments. They've had injuries as well. But they are an absolute shadow of the side that started the season, aren't they? They were the goal scorers. They were both teams to score. They were entertaining. They were going to places, ripping teams apart. And it's just falling completely away. And you look at the form over the last 10 games, that bottom 4. And the real thing, and I watched extended highlights of their game last week, and they just got no cutting edge. João Pedro's their main man. A few people said over the course of the season about if they're relying on him for goals, they're not going to get enough. And it's coming to pass that way as well. And Villa are a top 4 side. We've said it last season that once Emery came into the club, he'd got them playing well and winning enough points for them to be top 4. This season is carried on, and they are officially top 4. The last 2 sides to go to Brighton were the top 2, Manchester City and Arsenal. They won 3-0 and 4-0 respectively at minus money, as you'd expect. But Villa are up there on merit, and a win here pretty much guarantees them that 4th spot and your Champions League football next season. Because, of course, we're recording it prior to Tottenham playing tonight against Chelsea. But if they lose that and then Villa win this one at the weekend, then it's pretty much all bar mathematics done and dusted for Villa, which then means that they can concentrate on what is something we know is very important to Emery, and that is those European games against Olympiacos. They do play again tonight, Thursday at the time of recording, but that's at home against Olympiacos. And we touched on it last week that they're not the best travellers, and we'd expect Villa with our home record to win that one. He will rotate a little bit because that's what he's done in the European games, and then he can go again in this game at the weekend. No win in 6 for Brighton. They lost 3 of the last 4 across all venues. The main problem is they're not scoring goals. 1 goal in their last 5 games. Across those 10 games that I mentioned, as I said, they're fourth bottom as far as points collected are concerned. They've scored 9 goals across those last 10 games. So it's a complete difference. It's clear that De Zerbi wants out. He's probably going to leave somewhere in the summer, but it's literally just fallen apart until the season ends. And I think Villa can really go there and take advantage of this at a nice price as well. They've scored in all their last 10 across all venues in all competitions. They scored 2+ in 5 of the last 6 league games as well. And I think if they do that, Brighton showed they've not got the firepower to be able to cope with that. The only time they didn't score 2+, they scored 1, and that was at Manchester City. So no real disgrace in that one. And they did heavily rotate that day. So for me, Villa on the money line at +125 is still a big bit of value against this Brighton side that are just literally tanking.
Just one question for you. What result, and obviously we are recording ahead of that Olympiacos game, is there any result that you would see against Olympiacos that could put you off this bet, just so we future-proof this preview? If they got beat 3-0 or they win 4-0, or is there anything that would worry you from an Olympiacos scoreline point of view that might make you not back Villa? Or do you think, as far as, you've highlighted the league position, which is, massive, you'd think, look, whatever happens, I'll take plus money?
Pretty much, yeah. I think it is separate. That Champions League spot is so massive for Villa because it's unexpected, and they've had it in their hands all season, really. If they get absolutely thumped, you'd be a little bit disappointed by it, but it still wouldn't put me off this bet because of it's the league, and they'll go there and do that. The only thing that probably would concern me is the injuries. So if Ollie Watkins was to get injured, goalkeeper Martinez get injured, a couple of key players, McGinn maybe. Those key players, if they were all to get injured, then yeah, that's a different story.
Yeah, I'm going to say you ain't got to worry about Martinez because he's suspended tonight because of his antics in that penalty shootout. But of course, he will be back for the league game, I presume.
One other thing on that point though, Dan, is say for example, it is a tight match and Olympiacos do win 1-0, and the market will react. So,
absolutely.
So you might, if you're thinking that you're getting +125 or 120 Aston Villa now, the market will react. You might get 134. So that's factored in. So the price that we're suggesting now might not be the case on those matches. But if it doesn't go to a plan and they do a narrow defeat is questionable, then the price will obviously get to even a better price. And the argument is, well, there may be even more value because they might think to themselves, say, "What, this is our only chance of getting into big-time European football. Let's go and let's go for this one." So I think it's very factored into the odds, the results, obviously, what happened on this evening.
Monday night match, 3 p.m. Eastern, is Crystal Palace versus Manchester United. Do you want the quiz question first, or should we get the tips first? Your quiz question was rubbish this week, Nigel.
That was good. So what's your one?
Are you ready?
Yeah, go on.
Only 5 teams have taken more points than Oliver Glasner's Palace since the Austrian took over.
Well, Jack definitely Googles these quick questions. So if he's going to make it, because everyone he looks at the notes. I don't even look at those. Arsenal, Man City.
Yes.
We mentioned them earlier. Burnley.
No.
Okay. Bournemouth.
Yes.
They've done well. Villa.
Yes.
And I don't know the other one.
Jack.
Newcastle.
Correct.
He Googled them. He Googled them. He's
knowledge
absolutely
is power.
Knowledge is power. We've gone out and quiz with him and asked him serious questions. He didn't get nothing right. Not one.
You asked me the 1975 final team.
That's because we usually ask him the 1983.
We'll do a live quiz. We'll do a live quiz without Google, and I'll bet $500 I'll beat Jack. Well, he's absolutely Googles them when he gets in.
How am I supposed to even know the questions before they get said by the host?
Because you read the notes, I don't.
Notes? Oh.
You cheated. You're a cheat, right?
Crystal Palace versus Manchester United is a 3 p.m. Monday game Eastern.
We're not competitive, by the way.
Palace plus 145. Manchester United are the biggest price they've ever been for a Premier League game at Selhurst Park against Palace instantly. Well, as far back as I could go, which was the mid-90s.
Well, you go further than that, don't
plus 170.
You can go a bit further back.
Yeah, I think you could, couldn't you, really? We've got pictures from both the boys for this one. Palace unbeaten in 4. United only 3 defeats in the last 19. You can spin stats any way you want. Nigel, what's the pick?
Well, that's one of the reasons why I'm giving my pick. I'm going to go for Palace draw no bet because of that draw factor. I mean, I know Man United are unbeaten in that run, but 6 draws in their last 8 matches. That's a big significant. They're finding a way just to score. They're conceding so many shots, so many goals, but they just keep grinding out. Mainly to do with Fernandes, really. I mean, he's been.
They've just got individuals, haven't they, United?
Yeah,
That's what they've got.
They just showed that Mainu, the goal he scored against Liverpool, that game just sort of turned it around, and that's what they've been relying. That's what they've been doing. Palace are unbeaten in 4. We know what Glasner's come in. He's in 7 matches and Palace home matches, last 7 matches, 29 goals. He's changed the whole way the team play. The feel-good factors there. We speak week in and week out a bit against Eze and Elise. Eze didn't play last week in the draw against Fulham. Elise didn't play the week before in the win against Newcastle. So you can see that they're doing all right without them at the moment. When they were both on the pitch, they produced the best performance of the season in the 5-2 win against West Ham. But there's a couple of other factors at Crystal Palace. Mateti's obviously scoring goals up front. I mean, he's been a revelation for them. And the other person who I think is one of the signs of the scene is Adam Wharton, the midfielder. He's been absolutely brilliant for Crystal Palace, and the fans absolutely love him there. And he's a real talent. And I think he's a future England international, that boy. I mean, he's been great. Probably one of the signings of the season for Crystal Palace. And what they do behind the scenes at Crystal Palace with Dougie Freedman, they find a lot of players. Well, I went to a dinner with Dougie Freedman and they were talking about all the players, and he said that every position they've got someone that they roughly know who will go in for like, and they've got players they can do. And he said the biggest disappointment of his career was they were very close, Crystal Palace, to signing Ollie Watkins before he went to Aston Villa. And he said that was the biggest disappointment he had. Anyway, enough of me name dropping about but anyway, I just think the way that these two, there's got to be goals in this match. And again, we look through the market and we see all these both teams to score markets very, very low. See the price on the Tottenham Chelsea game tonight, both teams to score is minus 350. I mean, like minus 350. I mean, that is where we are in the moment. You know,
I'd want to lay that just because.
Well, there you go.
I just want to lay it because, you know,
you used to be able to put them together. We said we used to be able to put over 2.5 goals and both teams to score together to get a palatable price. Can't even do that now. It's still like big minus money.
It's crazy. So, like, you know, we're trying to educate and do value. We could come on this show and go, yes, minus 350, minus 250, but it probably will happen. But I just could never bring myself to bet it. Like Nottingham Forest will probably beat Sheffield United weekend, but at minus 155, I could just never bring myself to bet it. Anyway, the United draws so many games. Crystal Palace are on the upward spiral. Usually at the end of the season, there's sort of the atmospheres at grounds aren't really as strong as they are with nothing to play for. Crystal Palace, it's better than it's been all season. Man United coming to town, that will lift them up again. Man United are vulnerable. Man United have to play in the FA Cup final in a few weeks' time. I know they're going to go for European football as well. McTominay's out. He's probably been arguably one of the best players this season. Rashford's still not fit. He's a big doubt for them as well. Palace are unbeaten in the last 3 years in this fixture as well. And you can argue that Crystal Palace are a lot better now than what they were in those 3 seasons previously. And Manchester United are a lot worse than what they were in those 3 years previously. So yeah, I just think that I like Palace in this market. I want to get with Palace in this market, but the fact that Manchester United just keep grinding out results, keeps a penalty, a free kick, an individual bit of brilliance, gets them out of jail week in and week out. I want that insurance of the draw. So I'm going to go for Palace draw no bet here at minus 118. And I'm telling you what, because it's the end of the season, and because I'm feeling, I'm gonna have a little bit of free as well.
Oh, is that like an official play? We're having 3-3.
It will be if it wins because it's on the figures. But I wouldn't let anybody off having a little bit of a 3-3 at 33-1. It's that kind of game. The way the Palace are scoring goals, it'd be an end-to-end match. It'd be a basketball match. You know, and I just got a feeling. You look at the amount of scored draws. That's
There's been more 3-2s this season than ever before. Incidentally, if you're a correct score.
Do you know every season? And I think I said it last year. Every season in the Football League for about the last 10 years, I've bet 3-3s. So the last day of the championship, and usually with teams that got nothing to play for. So you would find 4 or 5 matches, and I do 3-3s. They're usually around about 33-40-1. Last week was the first week I haven't had one. I've had 4 threes, a 4-4, and I've never had a free. I've had a 3-3 for that. I've won, I think, about 5 years ago. Last week was the first week I didn't do it. It was a 3-3 and a 3-3 and the 3-3 in the League One and a 3-3 in League Two, and I didn't do it. Sums up my season.
Nigel's taking a bit of insurance with a draw no bet for Paris, but Jack is driving without his papers. No insurance here, Jack.
No, I've gone aggressive on this one. I've gone Palace to win on the money line, plus 145. I think it's a big price. for them, despite what you said about United's price in the Premier League history, but quite rightly so. How United have survived without an absolute thumping over the last few weeks, I don't know. And I think they might well get one here. I've got a funny feeling that this could well be a big Palace win. And so they've been playing so well. They absolutely hammered Newcastle a couple of weeks ago. Was 0-0 at half time, and that had like double figure shots, and that hadn't even let Newcastle have one. Then they went on to win that 2-0. A point that Nigel mentioned is a big one for me, the fact that they've found ways to win without either or both of Eze or Elise. Their talisman. They've also got Mateta scoring goals. Edouard's come off the bench and looked lively as well, because they've got a manager that identifies the players and have found a way to play the better style to suit those players as well. And aggressive, high press. They've got two, aggressive physical strikers, and they use them. And the players behind them, and Wharton as well, has been a superb addition to the side. Defensively as well, looking good with the likes of Anderson there. They've done that without Gihai, so that's been a real testament. We mentioned him. Glasner's come in, completely turned the club upside down, but in a good way, and has managed to get the points on the board, as you said at the top of the show, or top of this piece, top 6 form across those, since he's been at the club, which is a brilliant performance from a side that were struggling. And he's got them more than safe from relegation, whilst playing some really exciting and attacking football. And they will, as we know, get plenty of chances against Manchester United. The atmosphere, I think, is a big thing. For us in the UK, this is Monday Night Football, so we get a little bit more razzmatazz with it as well. The crowd will be pumping for this one. And I think they will look forward to Palace putting on a bit of a show. And again, we touched on it already, but Man United with one eye on that FA Cup final on the horizon, not real much else to play for. And I just think that the style of play and the style of players that Crystal Palace have got will have too much energy, too much passion, and too much pace and power for what is a flaky Manchester United side that are also suffering from quite a few injuries in key areas. So for me, no winning 4 away from home for United. The loss to Chelsea and Man City, but they were fortunate to scrape draws against Bournemouth and Brentford. And Brentford obviously were bang out of form at the time. So Bournemouth should have put them to bed a couple of weeks ago. I think they are due a heavy beating, something that they've probably deserved and got away with for large parts of the season. So I'm going on the plus 145 here for Palace on the money line.
Yeah, around about plus 145 at the moment. It was plus 150. Expect maybe 1 or 2 market movements for that one as well. Just 1 or 2 bits of housekeeping before we depart. Obviously, title race we've not talked about here. City, Nigel, are minus 286. Arsenal plus 225. The title honours both winners last weekend. Arsenal are minus 530 to win against Bournemouth. I mean, Bournemouth are interesting, aren't they? At 12, 7:30 Eastern Saturday. City at home to Wolves. City at home to Wolves. Sorry, Harry. City at home to Wolves. Minus 1430. I've written down here. Wolves 28-1. Who's slipping up? Who's not slipping up? Nigel.
No one's slipping up. They're both going to win. It rolls on to the final week of the season.
Bournemouth, some sort of
no.
handicap.
How can you fancy Bournemouth at 12-1 and then compare them the same price of what Aston Villa were? Aston Villa the same price as Bournemouth. It shows what a great bet Aston Villa was. Champions League side against the mid-table Premier League.
What did we just say about teams recently in the top 6?
What
Bournemouth and Villa, same point?
Yeah, but only recently. The ones in the Champions League. We were talking about Bournemouth as a potential relegation threat about 5 weeks.
So two home wins for you think?
Yeah, and I think they both win pretty easy as well. I think both teams to win 2-0, a little double. I can't see Arsenal conceding against Bournemouth. I know Solanke wants to go for the top goal scorer, but I think Arsenal will be able to contain them. The best defence in the Premier League will be able to contain Bournemouth, and I expect Man City to do a number on Wolves. Wolves look disinterested at the moment. The manager looks like he again trying to tout himself around. It could be a job at West Ham that he might be interested in. He's moaning about everything. He's the only bloke I know moans more than Sean Calvert. But there you go.
That's a statement.
Jack, any angles for you for the top 2?
Yeah, you can't see past either of them winning, and probably comfortably as well. Again, these lines are just ridiculously impossible to get on side. Both goal lines. It's huge in that Arsenal game in particular, and like the handicaps, you're looking at needing wins by 3 or more goals, and they possibly would, but again, at the prices and everything else, it's just virtually impossible. So that's why it's so tough to try and get these sides that you know are going to win and the performances are going to put in on side with the prices that they have to be, because they're so dominant at the moment. But they look great, both of them. And no, I can't see either of them slipping up. And let's say Gary O'Neill's suspended for this one. He's out of the technical area as well, isn't he? So that will be another downside for Wolves. So yeah, expect a strong Man City performance with their key men back playing, and also a very rare week off for them going into it. That's not handy for Wolves to face that.
Home wins for Arsenal and City in the title race, both on Saturday, 7:30 Eastern at Emirates, and at the Etihad, 12:30 Eastern. Best bets before we say goodbye for the week. Nigel, what's your best play across week 36 as we are when it comes to the Premier League?
Difficult one this week. Difficult. But I'm going to go for Palace draw, no bet, be Man United at -118.
And Jack, your best play?
I really like Aston Villa. I would put Brereton Diaz, but I'm conscious of the price might be a little bit weak on that one. So I will go with a very confident shout on Villa at plus money. I think that's big value.
Nigel, Jack, thanks for your company. Good luck with your picks. That is a wrap for Matchday 36 of Betting Weekly Premier League show. We'll keep you up to date, of course, over the course of the weekend via Twitter and Instagram. Nigel will have some picks and plays across various leagues and Premier League as well. I
won't be. Jack will be on Instagram duty. I'm sure Steve Wish will be on Instagram duty.
It's been going well recently, I believe.
Yeah. I'm at Wembley on Sunday for Bromley. In the
you really?
National League, yeah.
Really? What league is that? It's about 10th tier, isn't it? What is it?
Get into the Football League.
Is it?
Yeah.
Bromley?
Yeah, if they win, they're in the Football League.
Who are they playing, Dan?
Solly.
I don't know. The Red Lion, probably, or something at that level.
I'm taking my boots. Solihull Motors could be in the Football League. Solihull Motors or Bromley.
Solihull Motors?
Solihull Motors.
Solihull Moors.
Moors, sorry.
Do you know what? I always read that as Solihull Motors, and I have no idea. It's like I've got to take my car in. Where you going? Solihull Motors. Yeah.
I've been telling everyone I'm seeing Solihull Motors.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, it could be there as well. Probably will.
Dear me. Good luck to everyone over the course of the weekend. Hopefully it'll be a profitable one. From all of us for now, it is goodbye.